I was halfway through the sales ops report, highlighting a line that made no damn sense, when Carl Denton, our division head, walked into the conference room and tapped the side of his coffee mug. "Before we wrap today," he said, smiling like we were at some damn barbecue, "I want to announce this quarter's performance bonus recipient." I didn't even look up. I knew it was me. It had to be. I'd been with Pinnacle Integration Group 4.5 years, brought in 6 new B2B clients just this quarter, crushed my targets by 67%. The $65,000 bonus was already mentally in my account. I was planning to finally redo the kitchen. Then Carl said the name. Evan Halpern. I froze. My highlighter hit the table and rolled off. Evan looked up like someone just called his name at graduation. He blinked, wide-eyed. "Wait, seriously?" he said, laughing like this was some kind of joke. It wasn't. Carl kept talking about emerging leadership and forward-thinking initiative, while I sat there staring at this 24-year-old kid who'd been here 3 months, maybe 90 days, and still couldn't format a PDF without asking someone. The whole room clapped. I didn't. My chest felt tight. Not from the money, not entirely. Though, yeah, it stung. 65 grand changes a lot. But it was the slap in the face that burned. The absolute disrespect. I'd skipped weekends, pulled midnight client calls, and cleaned up more internal messes than I could count. And now, I was watching that bonus walk out the door in Evan's hands like it meant nothing. After the meeting, Evan came up to me. "Dude, I swear I had no idea. I thought you were getting it. Seriously, you've helped me so much since I started." I believed him. I really did. The guy looked guilty as hell. But this wasn't about Evan. Not really. He was just the pawn. That night I called my brother, Mike, told him they handed my bonus to a kid fresh out of college. "You serious?" he said. "You need to file something with HR, man." But I'd already started putting the pieces together. I had a feeling this wasn't about metrics or results or any of that corporate talk Carl loved throwing around. This felt personal, and I don't play dumb when it's personal. The next week, Evan and I grabbed lunch from the taco truck near the parking lot. We sat on the low concrete wall, and I asked where he was from, just making small talk. "Brookbend," he said, chewing on a bite of carne asada. "It's this tiny town in western Pennsylvania. No one's ever heard of it, Brookbend." That hit something. 2 weeks earlier, I'd been walking past Carl's office and heard him on a call, talking way too loud, like always. He was telling someone he was flying back home for his dad's 79th birthday. "Still kicking in Brookbend," he said, laughing. "Same town." That's when the alarms went off in my head. This kid didn't just happen to get picked. This wasn't a random merit-based decision. There was something else at play. I started watching. Carl and Evan shared this energy that didn't fit, joking about things nobody else in the office understood. Mr. Haskins Hardware Store, the Blue Creek Diner, ice storms in 04. Inside references, shared history. Stuff you don't pick up in 3 months, not unless you're family or damn close. One morning by the coffee machine, I asked Evan casually, "Hey, you ever hear of the Dentons in Brookbend?" He didn't even blink. "Oh yeah, Carl's uncle used to live down the street from my grandparents. My uncle actually coached him in Little League. Our families go way back." That was it. Right there. No guessing, no gray area. The fix was in. The bonus wasn't earned. It was handed off, like a pat on the back at a family barbecue, wrapped in Carl's bullshit language about potential and future value. What it really meant was, I know this kid. He's one of us. I didn't get mad, didn't blow up. I got quiet, because I knew exactly what I was dealing with now. But I could flip the board. I didn't send emails, didn't complain to HR. That's not how I operate. Instead, I started thinking long game. Not out of revenge, not yet. But because I'd wasted too many years playing team player while other people handed out rewards like party favors. Carl thought he made a power move, that he'd chosen the future. Fine. Let's see how the future holds up when the pressure's on. By that Friday, I had a plan. I made sure it looked nothing like payback. I played it cool, kept smiling, kept showing up. But in the back of my mind, I already knew what I was about to do. And Carl, he wouldn't see it coming. That Monday, I knocked on Evan's cube and leaned in with a smile like I was offering a gift. "Got a second?" "Sure, yeah. What's up?" "I've been thinking," I said. "You've got potential. I want to help fast-track your growth here. If you're up for it, his whole face lit up like a kid on Christmas morning. Seriously? Man, I don't even know what to say. That's amazing. You're like a legend around here. I shrugged like it was no big deal. Let's get to work. I started with the enterprise client portfolios, the stuff most junior associates didn't touch until their second year. I walked him through back-end systems, budget logic trees, layered sales pipelines, the kind of stuff I'd built from scratch because no one else had the bandwidth. He nodded along, scribbled notes like a man possessed. Then I gave him access to my personal docs, sales call structures, objection trees, forecasting templates. Told him to study them, use them, make them his own. He was eating it up. "I can't believe you're doing this," he said one afternoon. "Most people hoard this kind of stuff." "Nah," I said. "You're sharp. Might as well get you ready for the big leagues." He didn't realize I was tossing him in head first. And I didn't stop. I loaded him up, faster than anyone in the office had ever been trained. I gave him the Friday QBR prep work, the mid-funnel tracking logs, the post-call email protocol for high-ticket prospects. I even looped him into our riskiest accounts. While I was handing Evan the keys, I started pulling back. I left at 5:30 on the dot. No more late-night client saves. I stopped babysitting team calls. When someone yelled, "Fire drill," I let it burn. Carl didn't even notice. Not at first. Too busy patting himself on the back for spotting young talent. By the end of the first week, a few warning signs started stacking up. Evan missed a call with one of our older clients, sent the wrong version of a quarterly review document. Nothing major, yet, but the cracks were showing. By the second week, they weren't cracks. They were sinkholes. He forgot to confirm budget thresholds with procurement on a B2B rollout. Threw off our delivery timeline by 5 days. Another time, he quoted an outdated offer to a prospective client and tanked the pitch. I stayed quiet, smiled, encouraged him. "You've got this," I said, handing him a fresh batch of call notes. "Just stick to the plan." He nodded, sweating bullets. "I will." "I promise." And Carl, still clapping from the cheap seats. Evan kept pushing, but you could see it. The dark circles under his eyes, the stiff jaw, the way he rubbed his forehead every time his phone buzzed. I didn't gloat, I just stayed close enough to be helpful. Dropped by to ask how things were going, gave tips that sounded like gold, but were really just more weight. By Friday, he looked like he hadn't slept in days. "You're doing fine," I said, as I handed him the follow-up stack for the CEO roundtable accounts. "It's a lot, I know. But this is how you grow." He nodded again, always nodding. I turned around and walked away, didn't look back. Because this wasn't sabotage, this was education. Delivered fast and loud, the way Carl seemed to think talent should work. Let's see how that theory holds up when the pressure kicks in. Carl was pacing more in meetings, tapping his pen like a woodpecker on Adderall. I saw him huddled up in conference rooms almost every hour, voice low, tone clipped. The sparkle in his young leadership speech had dulled into something grittier. Survival mode. The first client complaint hit my inbox CC'd. Evan had promised delivery by Monday, but it was Wednesday afternoon, and nothing had shipped. Then another came in, this time from an older B2B partner we'd worked with for years. Missed handoffs, unanswered emails, wrong file versions. The kind of stuff I used to catch in real time. By the end of the week, I could smell smoke in every direction. Thursday morning, the real show started. We were in a high-stakes stakeholder presentation for a prospect with a 7-figure budget. Evan was leading. I'd coached him on the framework, but this time, someone asked him to explain the drop-off in Q2 conversion rates. He froze, completely blanked, mouth opened. Nothing came out. He shuffled some papers, coughed, and muttered something about optimization timing. It didn't make sense. The room went quiet. One of the stakeholders tilted his head, then glanced at Carl. Like, "This is your guy? That silence?" It rang louder than any mistake he could have made. After the meeting, Carl vanished for an hour. When he came back, he looked like he'd aged 5 years. I was pouring a coffee in the break room when he finally made his move. "We're facing some tricky situations," he said, like that was news. "Could use your expertise." I stirred my coffee slowly, kept my eyes on the cup. "Sounds rough." Evan's been doing great, though he shifted on his feet. He's still learning. I looked up and smiled. Aren't we all? He didn't answer, just nodded and walked out, slower than usual. That afternoon, my phone buzzed. Voicemail. It was Diana, the recruiter from West Tech Solutions. I'd been ignoring her for months, didn't want the distraction, but her voice had a different energy this time. Hey, just circling back. We're ready to move forward. Full offer, strong package, room to grow. If you're open, we'd love to talk. I stood there staring at the wall, like something had just clicked into place. I didn't wait. I stepped out, called her back from the parking lot. Diana, I said, let's talk. She didn't waste time. Our VP reviewed your numbers. They're impressed. We want to bring you on, strategic accounts lead. The role's yours if you want it. How soon do you need someone? Soon? October rollout's a beast. We're short-handed. Email the details, I said. I'll look it over. I hung up, stood there for a second with the phone still in my hand. Carl thought he'd picked a rising star. What he didn't realize was that while he was busy grooming the next future leader, the current one was halfway out the door, with every major client watching who held the reins. Back at my desk, Evan was hunched over his keyboard, mumbling to himself while fixing yet another botched numbers deck. I didn't say a word. I opened my inbox, flagged Diana's email as priority, and started outlining my exit. I got the offer Thursday night. West Tech didn't play games. 55% bump in base, 15 grand sign-on bonus. Stock options that actually meant something. No politics, no backroom deals, just real numbers for real work. I scheduled the interviews using 2 personal days. First time I'd taken any in years. I'd been the guy who covered gaps, picked up slack, stayed late when others bailed. Now, I was done doing favors. By Friday afternoon, the whole thing was wrapped. Diana called me around 4. We're excited, she said. And formal offers in your inbox. Take the weekend if you need it. I didn't need it. I took it anyway, just to let the satisfaction settle in. That Sunday night, I printed my resignation letter. 2 weeks' notice. Simple, clean, nothing dramatic, just facts. Monday morning, I walked into the office calm and sharp. No emotion, just purpose. Before I could even sit down, Carl intercepted me outside my cubicle. Hey, quick thing, he said, shifting awkwardly. We need to reshuffle some roles. Things have shifted. I nodded and handed him the envelope. This'll help with that. He blinked at it. What's this? My resignation. He tore the top open and read. I watched his face change, from confusion to realization to quiet panic. You're leaving during Q4? 2 weeks, standard. My new firm needs me for a rollout. Is this about the bonus? He asked, voice low. No, this is about value. His face tightened. We can talk comp if that's... Not interested, I cut in. I've made my decision. He took a step back, like he'd just registered the full weight of what was happening. Where are you going? West Tech. He froze. We both knew what that meant. They were our biggest competition. Newer, leaner, more aggressive, and they were winning. He nodded slowly. You've got accounts that trust you. Exactly, I said. His lips parted like he wanted to say more, but nothing came out. I turned and walked to my desk. Evan looked up from his screen, eyes tired, like he hadn't slept all weekend. I didn't stop to chat. I opened Outlook and drafted my transition plan, attached files, labeled every client handoff clean and clear, no drama, just facts and instructions. That's how professionals exit. Not with fire, but with clarity. Carl hadn't just lost a senior lead. He lost control of the narrative, and the worst part, he'd done it to himself. By lunch, HR had pinged me for an off-boarding chat. By close of day, the news had spread. No speech, no email blast. Just a name scratched off the org chart and a countdown clock starting. By Tuesday, Carl was in full-on damage control. He stopped me by the elevators, hand on the doorframe, like he could block my exit with posture alone. We can revisit your comp, he said. Maybe even talk leadership track. You've more than earned that, I nodded. I appreciate it. He waited for something else. A pause, a maybe. I didn't give him one. It's not about the money, I said, and I meant it. I had a number now, sure, but more than that, I had proof. I'd been holding this place up with quiet hands for years, and no one noticed until I let go. The cracks had turned into shifts, And now, everything was wobbling. Evan showed up at my desk later that afternoon, dragging a chair over like a kid about to confess something to the principal. His shirt was wrinkled, eyes baggy. He looked 10 pounds lighter than when he started. "Can I ask you something?" he said. I closed my laptop. "Shoot. Did you know I wasn't ready for all this?" I looked at him, really looked. His confidence was gone. No arrogance. No wide-eyed praise. Just a young guy trying to keep his head above water. "You're smart," I said. "But experience teaches things theory doesn't." He nodded, stared at the floor. "I thought I could handle it." "You weren't supposed to." "Not alone." To his credit, he didn't make excuses. He stood up, gave a quiet, "Thanks," and walked straight to Carl's office. Later, I heard he asked to scale back. Said he wanted to earn the role, not wear it like a hand-me-down. Said he needed time to actually learn the job instead of faking it through someone else's frameworks. That took guts, more than I expected from him. Meanwhile, the rest of the team started looking around. Lauren in finance. She scheduled a meeting with HR, first time in 4 years. Then Jamal, one of our best technical liaisons, blocked off 2 hours for private development planning. I knew what that meant. Then Rachel from Ops, sharp, underpaid, constantly cleaning up behind the scenes. She sent Carl a meeting invite titled Comp Review, overdue. They weren't protesting. They weren't angry. They were just done carrying extra weight for free. And once they realized I was the tipping point, they started asking themselves why they'd stayed quiet this long. Carl tried to hold the pieces together. Meetings got longer. Emails got fluffier. The word team started showing up twice as often. It was desperation dressed up as leadership. Clients started circling back too. One emailed me directly, just to say they'd noticed a dip in communication quality. Another asked if I'd still be their contact going forward. I politely redirected them to Evan, but the tone was clear. They were uneasy. Carl had gambled on a shortcut, and the customers could smell it. I didn't interfere. I didn't offer to fix it. My exit was still 6 days out. Plenty of time for the structure to keep bending. I just sat back and watched the foundation groan under its own weight. My last Friday, I showed up the same time I always did. No parade, no special outfit, just coffee, keys, and a clean exit plan. Around 11, Carl caught me in the hallway by the client strategy board. His tie was loose, shirt untucked in the back. Rare for him. "Got a minute?" he asked. I followed him into a side office. He shut the door, didn't sit. He nodded slowly. "Where are you headed again?" "West Tech." He flinched, actually flinched. "They're our biggest competition." "I know," I said. "They're doing a lot of things right." I didn't need to spell it out. Carl thought talent was something you stamped, something you declared, like a title or a bonus. What he never understood was that trust isn't handed out. It's earned. And once you earn it, it follows you. Not the brand, not the building, the person. That was why West Tech pursued me. Not for my resume, for my results. Because the clients didn't care what logo was on the slide deck. They cared who showed up to fix problems when the wheels fell off. Evan organized a little coffee hour that afternoon. He brought a box of pastries and a card people passed around. I'll give him credit. He didn't have to do that. He stood up near the window and said a few nice things about how I'd helped him, how I'd raised the bar. Carl showed up last. He hung by the back wall, arms crossed, quiet. At the end, he stepped forward. Everyone hushed. "I owe you more than a farewell," he said. "You made a real impact here, carried more weight than I realized. I should have told you that sooner. It wasn't a speech. It wasn't grand, but it was honest, for once." I walked up, shook his hand. "No hard feelings," I said. "Just different priorities now." He gave a slow nod. There was regret in his eyes, not bitterness, not anger. Just that sinking realization of what it costs to learn something after it's too late. I didn't linger. I took a last look around, said my goodbyes, grabbed my laptop bag, and walked out. No victory lap, no exit music. Just the sound of doors closing behind me. 3 months in, I was deep in it. Fast-moving rollouts, multi-state accounts, high-level strategy calls where people actually listened. I wasn't just earning money. I was earning space, input, trust. And West Tech didn't make me beg for it. They saw the numbers, they saw the work, and they paid like they meant it. One afternoon, I got a LinkedIn message from Evan. Subject line, update. Hey, he wrote, I wanted to let you know I finally got promoted. For real this time. Right role, right timing. We've slowed things down a bit so I could actually learn. He added that he'd built a new onboarding system for junior staff. Something repeatable, structured, with checklists and real support. You pushed me harder than I liked, he wrote. But it worked. I sat with that for a second. He wasn't trying to suck up. He wasn't apologizing. He was just telling the truth, and I respected that. The next day I got an email from Carl. Subject, consulting opportunity. Said they were dealing with a tricky integration project and needed someone with experience. Someone who could steady the ship. He mentioned they'd overhauled the bonus process. New rules, more transparency. Even brought in outside leadership to fix the internal promotion pipeline. It wasn't an apology, but it was damn close. I didn't answer right away. I let the email sit for a couple days, unread but marked. Then finally, I replied, appreciate you reaching out. I'm focused on current clients right now. Best of luck with the rollout. That was it. No pitch, no price, just a line in the sand.